And right now tonight, he's guilty and will be heading to prison. The verdict from a federal jury coming at 9:30 tonight. Hello, everybody. It is continuing breaking news coverage from WHAS 11. I'm Doug Prophet. And moments ago, this was the scene outside the federal courthouse. In the past hour, supporters of Breonna Taylor chanting and celebrating the verdict in the streets outside the federal courthouse at 6th and Broadway. He becomes the first Metro Police officer involved in the Breonna Taylor raid 4 years ago to be held accountable by a jury, and now prison time. The guilty verdict, a shock to many, since this jury had become deadlocked, twice telling the judge they were having trouble. Isaiah Kim Martinez and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton are live right now. They covered every day of this 3-week trial. And Isaiah, Breonna Taylor's mother speaking less than an hour ago. And the way this day played out, this verdict is a true surprise.
Doug, I think you can argue for everybody who was in that courtroom on both sides. You have Tamika Palmer, Breonna Taylor's mother, who let out a very audible gasp in that courtroom when the verdict was read, the words guilty, specifically of violating her daughter's civil rights, back when Brett Hankison in 2020 fired 10 shots into the side of Breonna Taylor's apartment. Of course, Brett Hankison, like Doug mentioned, is facing a maximum sentence of life in prison. I did catch up with him and his attorney moments after that conviction, just outside the courthouse. Here's some of that video. Mr. Hankison, do you have any comment to this?
I don't have any comment.
Are you surprised by the verdict? Did it surprise you at all? And you hear Jack Bird, Brett Hankison's lead attorney there, saying no comment. Now, again, moments after that conviction, Breonna Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, along with other family, stood on the steps of the federal court building and spoke to reporters. Of course, I spoke with her moments into that, asking her how she felt about all this. Here were some of her answers to us tonight.
Grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God. It took a lot of patience. It took a lot of time. 1,694 days.
1,694.
It took. It was long. It was hard. It was. I don't even know if I got some words, but thank God. Thank God that He covered 12 jurors who chose to do the right thing, who took their time.
Thank you, God.
To understand what was really going on, and that Breonna deserved justice. So I'm grateful to everybody involved. We here. I was worried. People lose focus and people get, we move on so quickly from everything. So I think we all had that worry at some point or another. I said it to you the other morning, I just chose to give it to God. I was carrying it all and I was getting weaker by the moment, but I had to figure out another way. I had to do something different.
Tamika Palmer there reacting, answering my question when I asked if she was worried how it's been so long. It's been over 4 years. I do want to mention, though, again, Brett Hankison found guilty of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights the night of that March 2020 raid, but he also, Doug, was found not guilty for the second charge in all this, and that was for violating the civil rights of the 3 neighbors in that adjacent apartment to Breonna Taylor's. His bullets went through Taylor's sliding glass door and into their apartment. He was found not guilty for that, so this is a split verdict, Doug. So it is very much, like you said, a stunning result in many ways. You could argue, of course, Brett Hankison's family and friends. This will be something that I'm getting texts already. They're actually coming to terms with this right now. I do want to mention that, again, he faces a maximum sentence of life in prison, but that is at the judge's discretion. The sentencing date, that is March 12th of next year. at 10 a.m.
Let's pick up on that sentencing real quick. Of course, obviously, as we saw in that exclusive video, Brett Hankison is at least a free man tonight, leaving the courthouse until his sentencing, as you said in March, Isaiah. We want to make it clear the judge has the full sentencing power in this. Many legal experts I've talked to tonight said they are doubtful that he would get life in prison because he doesn't have a prior criminal record on this one count. So talk about that sentencing and what we could expect from in March.
Doug, you're right. It's truly at the judge's discretion. We've never seen something quite like this here in Louisville, Kentucky. I can tell you he is out on bond like he's been throughout this entire case. The judge mentioned the fact that he has showed up to every single court date. There hasn't been any issues. So whether that good behavior as a criminal defendant weighs into her decision, that could be something that we'll have to look into, Doug.
So we talked about why this is such a shock. Let's go through the timeline right now, Isaiah, because it was a roller coaster. And we've put it on the screen for you to go through the exact timing of how this day played out.
Yeah, Doug, it was just before 1 p.m., 1 this afternoon, that the judge got a note from the jury saying, essentially, we cannot come to a verdict. I think the exact words, I actually have it up here, the jury essentially saying they're deadlocked. They can't come to a unanimous agreement, a unanimous decision. Then, fast forward about 6 hours, the jury then says they disagree on one count. So what does that mean? Then they continue to deliberate. An hour later, the jury returns that partial verdict, initially finding Brett Hankison not guilty of the charge involving the neighbors. And then a couple hours later, that shocking moment, the judge reading the verdict, guilty, convicted on the charge directly relating to Breonna Taylor, Doug.